barbecue is a calling for Gary Lanton. Through philanthropy and mentorship, Gary's not only building great barbecue, but impacting lives. Hear how Holy Smokes is laying a foundation for the community. This is Tales from the Pit. We're here with Gary at his restaurant here in Dublin, Georgia. And so, Gary, thanks for having us here.
Great. Glad to have you.
Yeah, tell me about this place.
Okay. In 2010, my wife and I saw the TV show BBQ Pitmasters, and we couldn't believe that people actually went out and competed cooking barbecue and had a competition with it. And so we decided that we were going to make a team. And so we did that, and we decided to Holy Smokes. Her and I had met in church, and so it just kind of seemed like the logical name for us to do. So I was in the construction business at the time and was doing little caterings here and there. And, then the housing crisis happened and all that thing. So it took a little longer to hit us than 2008. But, work kind of got slow. And so it was just like, what can we do? So like I said, we did caterings, we did other things like that. And in 2015, we had talked about, and we said, hey, I think I want to do what I love to do instead of what I have to do. And we decided to step out, and we started a food truck. So we started a food truck because the mentality was, if our spot stinks, then we'll move somewhere else. And so that was kind of like the idea of doing that. We knew that we could cook good barbecue. And so it was just a matter of finding out the right way to do it, learning the business, and having less chances of being hurt, with the cost of a brick and mortar building. And so I guess a year ago, about almost right now, a year ago, we decided that we were going to open a brick and mortar, and here we are.
Okay. So you started with competitions.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us more about competitions. You're winning, and how'd that go?
At first, with competitions, we thought that we could cook good barbecue. And so we went out and we were just, cooking. We did some here and there. And the very first competition we were in was a Georgia Barbecue Association event. And so we got like a 10th place, I think, in pork loin. And it was like, we were so happy, like got a little pendant. And I wore it literally to church the next day. I was so happy about it. I was so proud. And that's kind of where the passion, obsession, whatever you want to call it, started. And so we went through like the first year, we kind of were hit and miss, really didn't do well. But then we started finding out exactly what the judges were looking for. And so our second full year of barbecue, we kind of figured it out. We started winning contests. And so we went for a stretch where I think we won 5 contests out of 6 weekends. And it was just like, what in the world is going on here? And so we were just very happy that, we could actually put out stuff that people liked. And after that, we won the Georgia Barbecue Association Team of the Year that year.
So tell me, what is a competition barbecue like? Like how does it differ from doing it as a food truck or restaurant?
Competition barbecue to me, is like a one bite barbecue. You have to make your food so good that when the judge takes one bite, that they can decide, hey, this is better than everything else on the table. So, that's really, to me, the big difference in it is you just have to have that wow factor. And I think one thing that I've learned as we got better at competition barbecue is you're not trying to be too much this way or that way. And I kind of had like a philosophy of it. It was like a little bit of sweet, a little bit of heat, a little bit of smoke, and a little bit of meat. And if you can balance those out perfectly, that does well for a judge. And if I had to describe competition barbecue, it would be you're trying to cook the very best average barbecue that there is, because you don't want to offend. There's so many different taste palettes and things there. You just want to cook the best barbecue that appeals to the most.
So tell us more about what you have here. What are the meats that you're serving?
Right now, we do just the traditional barbecue meats. We do pulled pork. That's kind of like our staple. We have ribs, which our customers love because it's the closest that you'll ever get anywhere to a competition rib. Like I said, the only thing that's not in our rib that's in our competition rib is honey, and that's it. And everything else is the exact same right here. And so we do brisket, we do just pulled chicken, and as well as like chicken quarters. So we just kind of do the barbecue staples, and that's what's done good for us.
Food Network says best ribs in the state of Georgia. I imagine you agree with that statement.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good. But like I said, we've done pretty well on the competition circuit with our rib recipe. And so just taking one ingredient out, I mean, it's still the exact same rib. So I have, I guess, 4 assistant pitmasters here now that help me do it. And I would put any one of them in a contest against anyone cooking ribs.
Okay.
Because the big thing that I taught them is it's all about hitting your tenderness. If you hit your tenderness right, then everything else is going to be good.
Okay. And so that leads me into, where do your recipes come from? Did you trial and error, or where did you start? Or
most of the recipes were trial and error, just kind of figuring out what we like. Like, I have 4 kids at home, so I know if I can get my kids to eat it, I know most people will eat it. Kids are picky. And so, that was one of the things that we did. We just had like a lot of ideas about, what things should be like. And I guess that's kind of, what helped us just to appeal to the more people like that. So the only one that isn't my original recipe is our Brunswick stew. And so we, in the competition barbecue circuit, met a lot of people. And we have a friend, Carl and Mary Williams. They're both in their 80s. And Miss Mary, she entered 10 Brunswick stew contests, and she won 10 in a row.
wow.
Okay, just like, it was unbelievable. I mean, nobody had ever seen anything like that before. And so Mr. Carl got sick, and so they kind of quit cooking. And so I called Mary, and I was like, Miss Mary, the stew recipe is obviously that good. That should be shared with people. And I asked her if she would consider giving me the recipe. And so they thought a couple of weeks, and they called me back, and so they gave me 3 stipulations. They said, 1, you have to call it Miss Mary's Championships Brunswick Stew, okay? 2, that I can't give it to anyone, so it's like a secret recipe that we have here for no one else. And number 3 is, if ever I'm in a contest and she enters that contest too, I can't enter her stew against her. And so I said, you have a deal, Miss Mary. And so that's where our Brunswick stew recipe came from.
Now, what sauces do you have available?
Being in Georgia, we're kind of like a melting pot here. So there's so many different styles that people like. So the sauces, what we tried to do was develop something that would appeal to everybody. So we have a sweet sauce, which is kind of like a regular ketchup-based sauce. We have a mustard vinegar-based sauce, which kind of appeals to the South Carolina people. We have a sweet and spicy, which is what we use for our Brunswick stew, which that came from Miss Mary, and it was kind of a base that we used, and it was just a really good sauce on its own. And then we have a sweet vinegar sauce, which we make out of fruit juices and vinegars and a couple other things. So, and it just kind of goes good. We almost call that like a dipping sauce. So actually we call it pop sauce is what we call it. So if you do like a whole hog, what we do is put a pan of it right there in front of the hog, and you pull a piece off and you just dredge it through, and that's where it's at.
Okay.
And so.
Okay. Do you see one that's more popular than the others?
The sweet sauce would be our most popular, I think. Just most people, it appeals to them. A sweet thing is what, a sweet type of sauce everybody can get behind. Like Sweet Baby Ray's is probably the most known barbecue sauce that there is out there. And so it appeals to a lot of people. And so that's what ours is. But we do have like the diehard, I need a vinegar sauce, I needed this. And so we really tried to have options for everybody that came through.
Yeah, so who is your customer here? What's the community that you're serving?
Our community here and our customers are very diverse. I guess, Anthony Bourdain had said, barbecue may not be the road to world peace, but it's a good start. And to me, barbecue is like the ultimate food that brings people together, because I don't care who you are, socioeconomic, race, anything. Everybody has a recipe or a thing of barbecue that they say, man, my grandma makes the best this. My uncle is the best rib cook. And everybody, at least where we are, has a story like that. And so for me, our customer is those people who are just trying to go back to regular traditional type barbecue, none of the fancy gas stuff and all that, that just doesn't have the right amount of smoke. But to me, people who like true barbecue, and to me, that's the test of a good barbecue place. If you have like a diverse crowd that comes to you, people are discerning about their barbecue. And if you appeal to everyone, you're doing something right. And so that has kind of been the big thing for me is, that I love to do that. I love the sharing part of it. I love to, like, if something happens, I want to go and put that to the community because I know it helps people heal. And so our customer is everyone, I hope, and some people like it a certain way and it isn't, we don't do it that way, but we serve everything with no sauce. If you don't like it, put your own sauce on it. The meat stands for itself.
All right. When it comes to Georgia barbecue, you say that you are doing Georgia barbecue. So what is Georgia barbecue?
To me, traditional Georgia barbecue is a vinegar type sauce. That's what, like, if you go to most places in the state of Georgia, they're going to have some sort of vinegar sauce. Now, some may have mustard, some may have, other ingredients with them too, but by and large, it'll be like a vinegar-based type sauce. And depending on where you go in Georgia will depend on some of your sides. For instance, if you go to the Augusta area, hash and rice, that is like king. And I don't know of any other place in the country that does that. And so, I'm originally from Augusta. And actually, when I was a teenager, I worked for a barbecue restaurant there, and like hash and rice was their thing. They had, just pork pieces and ketchup and bread, and they made it all. And so it's just, I think just depending on where you are, it just depends on what exactly the style people lean towards are.
Okay. Why should someone come here to Holy Smoke?
I think a person should come to Holy Smokes. One, the food's great. It's my opinion, but I think that here we try to make the food stand on its own. To me, this is a business that I started, but I also see it as a business to give opportunity to other folks. So, there's so many things, and different people in different walks of life don't have the same opportunities as others. I have a couple of girls that work with me who had came out of like a bad situation, were in jail for a little while. Most people don't give them a chance, but they're some of my best girls, and they come here and they do a good job. And to me, I have a couple of young men that work here, and I foresee, we're one location now, but in my vision is I train them up and show them, okay, that I guess the business ownership is possible, and this is how you do it. So I'm kind of see it as a job to mentor folks. And so one of my guys that you'll meet here later, Jake, was, my vision for him is for him to learn the cooking part, which he has. He's great. He cooks anything as good or better than me. But then we're teaching him the administrative spot. Would eventually, I'd love to put him in a town that says, hey, this Holy Smokes is yours, and this part, you have ownership in this. The better you do, the more money you can make. And I just think it's an opportunity to help bring people who, college is not for everybody. College is great, but me, I was not a school person. But it's a way for a person to actually learn a trade and be able to make a successful life for themselves and, provide for their families. So to me, that's what the big part of it is. And, Dublin High here has a cooking team. And I'm like, hey, your cooking team, the guys are on the football team, they have a passion for cooking. If any of those guys did not go to college, if they're just kind of hanging around, staying close, send them to me. I would love to mentor them and help them and teach them how to do this, because I just think it's something that if a person has a passion for the cooking, if they're willing to work hard, you can make it happen in this. You know, America is like the only place in this world to where there's an opportunity for you if you're willing to take it. Nobody's ever going to do it for you, but if you have a passion and you work hard, you will make it work. And that's one of the things that I was just telling, I was telling Jake Wes the other day is, man, you have it. Let's develop the other part of your skills and get you a store. And so to me, that's what it is. It's about helping others. And that's what barbecue has always been for us, and I know that sounds cliche, and I'm not trying to talk any other way about it, but it is, in life, it's about what you do for other people. That's what you're most satisfied with. So that's, to me, that's Holy Smokes BBQ.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down and joining us. We're gonna go back in the kitchen, look at what they're doing back there, and then we'll be back later with tasting some of the food.
Here at Holy Smokes, we cook all our meats fresh daily. Once our meats get done, what we do is we wrap it in butcher paper and we store it here in this hot box right here, where we keep it at about 165 degrees. Like I said, everything gets cooked to plate. So with that being said, we pull our pork fresh daily, which is what's in here. Here we have our pork and stuff right here. And we only have our ribs and our brisket in here as well. And then on down the line right here is where all my food that we use when we're ready to fix plates. Like I said, everything is to order. So we never have food just sitting up here on the table. Then on down the line is where we store all our cold sides at right here on this line. We have potato salad, our coleslaw. Every plate that we send out gets pickles. That way, we have some people that actually love pickles, some people that don't like pickles. Down here is where we store our hot sides at. Right here we have our mac and cheese, which is a 4 cheese macaroni and cheese, topped off with heavy cream and our signature grilled sauce. Alright, we got baked beans, which is, we call it cowboy baked beans, which is regular baked beans with pulled pork, brown sugar, our barbecue sauce, and that right there. Alright, and then we got what we call Miss Mary's award-winning breakfast stew. It's actually a famous breakfast stew which we sell. We had to go through the steps to get this recipe. So it's a pretty good breakfast stew. Then we got what we call our green beans, which is just normal green beans, which have all beef base in it. That's it right there. I'll take it all outside to where it's all cooking. All of our meats, like I said, we cook to daily. So with the butts, it normally take about 12 hours somewhere in that neighborhood. With the briskets, about 12, 13 hours too. Like I said, everything it is cooked and ordered. So that's just a little photo of the butts right there.
How long have you been cooking?
Well, I've been in the cooking business myself for about 9 years. I've been working here at Holy Smokes about 4 years. It's something that I had a passion for growing up. My mom, she actually did it. So, I made a promise to myself that I will continue to do it, carry that path from what she did. And I enjoy doing barbecue, so that is why I'm still here. It's a great environment, working here, cooking barbecue. It's a lot to learn, not only just doing this, but also doing the inside work, making sandwiches. That's something you enjoy doing. Like I said, I love doing it. I actually want to, in the future, branch off and have my own one day. So.
What's your story?
Well, my first cooking job, I was about 14 years old. I actually cooked at it was an Italian restaurant. Actually, I didn't start off cooking. I actually started off hosting. All I did was seat guests and stuff. one day I told my manager, I said, hey, I want to try to cook something in the kitchen. She was like, okay, follow me. We actually went to the kitchen. She said, I will tell you, it is gas. So with that gas stove, it's a lot of flame, so be careful. She threw me out for a test. I made it. A day later, I did the same thing. I went in the kitchen. And so I said from then that this is something that I like. So after that, I moved on up. I started actually working in the kitchen. So everything was going smooth. Then I went up to actually line cook. After that, I said, hey, I want to try out for management here. So she was like, okay, I'll try you out for that. So I moved up to management. Didn't work out. I moved on up to another restaurant job. Like I said, I've been in the restaurant now for about 9 years. So throughout the stories, I met Gary with here at Holy Smokes. He's a great guy. You know, he taught me a lot. You know, coming into barbecue, knowing about cooking, but the way that he cooks is totally different from what I did, because it's barbecue. I did Southern cooking, I did Italian, I did buffet style restaurants. I've done all that. I never did barbecue until I met Gary. And working here at Holy Smokes, they have taught me so much about barbecue. You know, and it's something that I feel like I can take on to other years and to this path right here. Like I said, I do enjoy doing it though.
And we're back here sitting at the table with this delicious food in front of me. So take me through a tasting tour of Holy Smokes and what I have in front of me.
We're right here on the left side, we have your brisket. We have lean brisket, lean and fatty. Then we have regular fatty. Actually, this is fatty, that's lean. There's lean and fatty there. There's our pulled pork right there. That's the staple, what we have here. And then our Food Network best ribs in Georgia right there.
Okay. And we have the 4 sauces here.
Okay. So the 4 sauces, we have the sweet and spicy. This is the pop sauce that I was telling you about that we use for the hog right there. This is our regular sweet, and this is our regular mustard vinegar right there.
Okay. So what should I pair with what?
Me, I like to just taste the meat on its own and,
Sure.
then decide if I need it after that. But,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. All right, we'll try some of this brisket. So this was cooked yesterday, right? For the full day.
For service, yep, for service today.
Oh, it's really good. It's really held together. It's very tender. It's very moist. Very moist. And then can you explain? So you talk about how you had the lean pieces and the fatty pieces. Can you explain what the difference between those two are?
Sure. The brisket has 2 different parts to it. You have the flat, which is what we call the lean cut, and it doesn't have nearly as much fat in it. And then the point is what we call the fatty, and it just has a lot more fat marbled in it. And so we let people know you have the lean, you know, because people are particular. We used to call it sliced and burnt ends, but people were very confused about that because they thought it was going to be burnt everywhere. It isn't. But anyways, so the fatty brisket to me is one of the best parts of the brisket, because when a piece of meat that has a lot of fat in it is cooked perfectly, it just melts in your mouth. It is just juicy and delicious.
Well, and it is juicy and delicious. All right, so let's go to the pulled pork. A staple of Georgia barbecue, it seems.
For sure.
It's really good. It has how do you guys like shred it? How do you guys tear it apart?
I have a little contraption that I created. Basically, it's like, I told you I was in the construction business.
Yeah.
It is a tile mixing blade, a stainless steel mixing blade that I cut the ends off, and so it has forks on it. And I put that in a drill, and so the drill processes it up. And so all your meat, fat, everything just joins together, and that's kind of what you're left with right there. No big pockets of fat, just all meat.
All right, and then we have the best ribs in Georgia, according to
So they
Food
say.
Network. So they say. This is a very nice cut of meat. You know, you're talking about the quality of meat.
Mm-hmm.
So what cut is this? Do you
This is a St. Louis cut spare rib. And so, you know, the regular rib, it's a big piece. So there is a basically a line from the regular spare rib to St. Louis, and the other, I guess they make rib tips out of, but there's so much fat, cartilage, things like that that we don't want to serve. So this is nothing but meat and bone. That's it. And that's why we serve it.
And then we have your sides here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the famous
Miss Mary's Brunswick stew.
Miss Mary's Brunswick stew. I can see why she won 10 times in a row.
It is wonderful.
It is. And then we have your slaw,
The kickin' coleslaw.
which is the kickin' coleslaw.
Mm-hmm. Little bit, a hint of a bite to it.
Oh yeah, a little bit. But it really brings out the zestiness. I mean, probably more zesty than I think kick, I guess.
So to me, I don't like just regular type things. I like to put my little spin on everything, and so they're all just a little bit different than what the normal is.
Yeah.
But to me, that's what makes them great. So,
Right. And it makes it unique that you can't get anywhere else. So what is South Georgia barbecue to you?
To me, South Georgia barbecue is variety. There are so many different styles that it's personal to any person that you talk to will tell you a different thing. What you say is good South Georgia barbecue will be different than what he says for South Georgia barbecue. So to me, the meat has to stand out. And so if you have good meat, all the other things can come together with it. Like if you have a different sauce you like, if you like a different type of rub, it doesn't matter. As long as your meat, that's like the foundation of everything. So to me, great South Georgia barbecue is great meat. And the rest of it, you design it how you like it.
Excellent. Well, this is a wonderful product, and as you said, the meat stands on its own. So, thank you again for hosting us here and letting us share your story.
For sure. I'm so happy you guys came. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I'm going to continue eating the rest of this delicious food, and we'll be back after this. Want more Tales from the Pit? For extended content, in-depth coverage, and behind the scenes, get connected with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, and Podbean. Today we visited Holy Smoke, where we saw a great example of serving the community. We saw examples of mentorship as well as humanitarian relief. I want to thank Gary and Jacquez for sitting down and sharing their stories with us. And I want to thank you for watching Tales from the Pit. We'll see you next time.